Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to share the backpack, tent, and sleep systems, otherwise known as the Big Three, that my son and I will be taking with us on our upcoming thru hike of the Pacific Crest Trail. Let's go! The Big Three are the three heaviest pieces of backpacking gear that you'll take with you: your backpack, your tent, and your sleep system. In addition, they also play a big role in how comfortable you'll be out on the trail. Now, there are a ton of different options out there for backpackers for their Big Three, and some people take years to perfectly dial in their own system. Before we get started, I want to take just a minute to explain the rationale behind some of the gear choices that I've made. Now, I like to think of pack weight and gear selection graphically. In other words, on a graph. And let me show you what I mean by that. Weight is the x-axis, and there are two factors on the y-axis: carryability and camp comfort. So let's take a look at an example. Let's say you brought absolutely nothing on the trail at all. So your total pack weight would be 0, but your carryability would be very high because you're not carrying anything. On the other hand, your camp comfort would be 0 because you'd have no food, water, or shelter, and that would pretty much suck. On the other hand, if you brought 200 pounds worth of stuff, your carryability would be almost 0 because it would be too heavy to carry, but your camp comfort would be quite high as you're sitting on your lawn chair and watching the game on your portable TV. Now, if you look at these points, you can draw a straight line between each set of them, and it looks like this. As you can see, the lines eventually intersect. It's this area around the intersection that's our sweet spot, the balance between carryability and camp comfort. Whether you prefer the carryability side or the camp comfort side is really going to determine whether you're an ultralight backpacker or someone who carries a little bit heavier pack. I think of myself as somebody who's just about right in the middle. But you didn't come here to talk about charts and graphs, so let's jump into the gear. Starting with backpacks, my backpack is the 3-pound 9-ounce Osprey Atmos 65. Now, this is a little bit heavier than some of the ultralight packs out there, but I find it to be very comfortable and it really fits my body well. One thing I like about it is the mesh surface that keeps the pack off of my back to prevent sweating on warmer days. I also like how adjustable it is. You can really dial this thing in to fit your exact body, and it also adjusts nicely as your body changes through time on the trail as you get stronger and if you lose a little bit of weight. Like I said, yes, there are lighter alternatives out there, but I really like the pack, and if mine ever wears out, I'll probably try one of those lighter alternatives. But for now, this is the one I'm going with. Callan is going to be rocking the Deuter Air Contact Lite 65. Now, this is a little bit heavier than mine at 4 pounds 6 ounces. Callan originally planned on getting an Osprey Atmos pack with the anti-gravity system, but when we were at the store trying on different packs, he found that the Deuter was just a much better fit for his body type. Having used it for a couple of years now, he really likes it, and it fits all of his gear well and it's very comfortable. It's also constructed really well. It just has a really durable feel to it, not flimsy at all. This is the type of pack that I think is going to last a long time. Let's jump over to tents. I'm going to be using the Big Agnes Fly Creek HV UL2. This tent weighs in at 2 pounds 5.4 ounces. I prefer a 2-person tent because I like the extra room, and I also like a freestanding tent because it holds up so well in the wind, and I've camped in a lot of areas where the ground is too hard or rocky to use tent stakes, and I just think a freestanding tent is a little bit easier in these situations. It's also quite breathable and rarely gives me any issues with condensation. There are certainly some lighter weight options out there, but I feel the positives for me outweigh any disadvantages of the extra weight. One thing I'll say about Big Agnes is, true to their reputation, they have amazing customer service. So here's an example. I had been using my original Big Agnes Fly Creek HV UL2 for about 6 years when the zipper failed. Now, fortunately, it failed on a fall backpacking trip when there were no bugs, otherwise that could have been kind of bad. When I got home, I contacted Big Agnes. They said, send it in, we'll see what we can do. They contacted me and said, you know what, we can't replace your zipper or repair it. However, what we will do is just send you a brand new tent. So a couple of days later, at no charge to me, a brand new tent shows up in my mailbox. That was unbelievable. I had no expectation whatsoever that a zipper should last forever, especially for somebody like me who uses their tent all the time. So I was really impressed with that. Callan is going to be using the Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2. He also prefers a 2-person tent for the extra room. The tents are very similar except for His is 2 pounds, 8.4 ounces, a little bit heavier, and it also has side entrances instead of a front entrance like my tent. He likes the tent a lot. It offers plenty of space inside, and the vestibule areas are pretty generous where you can stash your shoes and any other stuff you want to keep dry but outside of your tent. So could we save some weight by switching to a Enigma super ultralight tent like the ones made by Z-Packs or Tarp Tent? Absolutely, we definitely could save weight that way. But we do like our tents, and those Enigma tents can be $600 or even more, very expensive. And since we like our tents and they are fairly lightweight, we're just going to save the money and stick with those for now. We'll also both be carrying our custom-made Tyvek tent footprints. These are things that we made ourselves, and I will actually put a link in the description to a video I made on how to make your own Tyvek tent footprint. It's really not that hard, and it does a great job. These things weigh in at 7.8 ounces, so they're not all that lightweight. But there's a couple of key reasons that we like to carry them. First of all is I feel that having this tent footprint will protect the bottom of my tent from getting scratched up and getting little tiny holes in it from all of the dirt and dust and rocks that you get from laying on it over time. And this, I think, has really paid off because there have been a couple of times where we have been in so much rain that we've had water literally running under our tents and no water has come in through the tent floor. And I think had we not used tent footprints, we would have had plenty of holes in there and we would have been soaked. The other reason we use these things is to keep the bottom of our tents clean. So all the dirt and mud and everything else gets on the tent footprint, and the bottom of the tent is just as clean as can be. And the tent footprint is very simple to wash out in a lake or a stream, and because Tyvek doesn't absorb water, it dries out really fast. Moving on to the sleep systems. Now, even though our backpacks and tents are a little bit different, we both have identical sleep systems. Starting out with my sleeping pad, I use a Therm-a-Rest Neo Air. This thing weighs 12.6 ounces and has an R value of 4.2. So what that means is it's insulated and I can sleep in cooler weather, although with this sleeping pad I would not sleep in extreme cold weather. Moving on to the quilt that I'm going to be using. If you've watched this channel at all, you know that I absolutely love my Enlightened Equipment Enigma quilt. This thing is so comfortable. I just love it and I can't wait to get into my tent every night and snuggle up in this thing. It's just awesome. It's nice and lightweight at 1 pound, 4.2 ounces. To add a bit of comfort, I use a silk liner by Summit. This one is actually a combination of cotton and silk, and it weighs in at 5.4 ounces. I just roll it up with my quilt and it stores pretty easily that way. What I like about this thing is I can slide it over my sleeping pad and use it like a bed sheet, or if it gets really cold, I can slide into it and it gives me a little bit of extra warmth in addition to my quilt. The pillow I use is the Aeros by Summit at 4.2 ounces. And I've tried so many different pillows and this is the one that I really like the best. It's lightweight, it blows up in just a couple of breaths and super comfortable. Getting a great night's sleep on the trail I think is so important, and having the right pillow is a big part of that. Now if you want to get a deeper dive into my sleep system, I did a complete video on that a couple of weeks ago and I'll put a link down in the description for you. So as you can see, we are not super ultra lightweight backpackers. Now we don't carry extra weight needlessly, and we also do what we can to keep our base weight down. But at the same time, we have not gone out and purchased some expensive ultralight gear just for the main purpose of saving weight. But who knows, after carrying this stuff around for hundreds and thousands of miles this summer, maybe we'll change our mind and go ultralight on some things. I guess only time will tell, right? As always, if you found any value in this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Also, please feel free to follow me on Instagram if you want to see some additional content that I might put out during the week. Thanks, and we'll see you out on the trail.